Hey, Talking Joe fans, Mark here. Today we're sharing another sketchbook special. This was originally broadcast as a live stream on YouTube and on the Talking Joe Facebook group. So it is very visual in nature as we walk through my very special G.I. Joe dedicated themed sketchbook. So if you want to see the whole thing with all of the visuals, head on over to the Talking Joe YouTube page. But if you just want to hear the audio, and why not, then go ahead and keep on listening. I've saved a PDF of all of the art over at patreon.com/talkingjoe. So if you want to see the art while you're listening along, then head on over there and download a copy. And with all that said and done, on with the show.
Live from the Talking Joe studios, it's Talking Joe.
You seem normal.
Hey, it's me, Mark, and welcome to Talking Joe. It's another sketchbook special, and this time we will be looking into my very own sketchbook. So I think that means I have to play a jingle.
Sketchbook, here's my sketchbook. I can show it to you if you wanna have a look. Sketchbook, here's my sketchbook. And now I will stop this song.
There we go. And we're broadcasting live as a live stream, which means that you can get involved and share your comments. That means typing away on the Facebook and on YouTube. And when you do that, I'll see it and I can share it on screen. So join in with your comments. But I will not be doing this alone. I have a few guests who are joining me today. And let's go ahead and introduce them.
I really want to
First up,
talk Joe with you. It's a real American Tim. American Tim.
here he is.
Hello, Mark, and hello. I'd normally say listeners, but I'll say viewers.
Indeed, it's all of that going on. Yes, great to have you back, Tim. But let's just bung on everyone else on into the screen. Next up, returning for, is it the third time, fourth time? There's probably a technicality there because we did a one long show and cut it into two. But here he is. Let's not worry about it. It's the man.
John Thurmond is coming on the show today with Best Be Behaved.
Love that theme
The man
song.
with the dance. Who
Codename
doesn't love a theme song?
Kid Gloves is here.
Exactly. And returning for the second time. This time he's not sharing his sketchbook. He's having a look at mine. It's Shane.
Shane Simek, who got the Joes in your sketchbook? How many? That's super.
Oh, I forgot to click the button, the important button that adds him in.
There I am.
There he is. It's like, where was this guy? What's he doing?
You
There
know,
he is. Welcome
Shane.
back to the show, Shane.
Shane, I'm so impressed with the blue hues of your background. It seems like you're in a headquarters of some kind, as if you had picked this color scheme on purpose to be, say, Joe headquarters.
I picked the
Cobra
color
blue.
like blue, and it's very comforting. This is my I don't want to say my man cave, but it's my my little getaway here in the house, my office library space.
Fortress of Solitude.
Somewhat.
Yeah, inside on the interior of that Cobra little half an igloo. What was that called? With it kept on falling into three pieces whenever you looked at it too hard. I'm not imagining this toy. It's a thing that exists. A little mini Cobra base looks like an igloo. 3 bits, 2 guns stick out the side, got a thing on top.
Wait, is it white or is it blue?
It's blue.
Oh, is
Blue.
that the Cobra? Is that ammo? Not the ammo depot.
Someone's going to
Bunker?
rescue. Here we go.
Something
Thank
bunker.
Thank you,
Cobra
Facebook
bunker.
user. Cobra bunker.
When
Yeah.
in doubt, ask the audience.
Exactly, yeah. 50-50, ask the audience. Yeah, the host isn't going to help you in this occasion. So thank you, Facebook user. You can do some shenanigans in the background to link up your profile so that we can see who you are, or you can just add your name on at the end of it. So yeah, we are gathered here today to look at my G.I. Joe sketchbook. I've talked about it a few times before. I've sort of it's my probably third, let's say, proper sketchbook, and what I found was that I was filling up my sketchbook mostly with just G.I. Joe sketches, and so there'll be like, you know, Baroness, Batman, you know, Scarlet, then the Joker, you know, so every other sketch was basically G.I. Joe. So yeah, bite the bullet. You know, start a G.I. Joe themed sketchbook, and this is, for those taking notes, a Lechterm 1917 sketchbook. It's got a nice, thick, glossy cover. Is that what the brands of your choice as well, Tim?
For my calendar.
And it's got very glossy. Well, it's very, very white pages. The moleskin that I had before had a kind of an ivory kind of sheen to them, which made it look a little bit like they were kind of, you know, yellowed by age or sunlight. And yeah, seems to take a different variety of media quite well. So sort of happy with the sketchbook. So this is a sketchbook generally taken along to conventions. I would have my printout of some reference, which generally wasn't used too much. I had A to Z for each, so I had one letter for each character. I thought I might maybe go an alphabetical route, but I didn't in the end. So while this is in front of me, let's see. Fingers first, fastest finger first. Let's go alphabet. A.
Alpine.
Ace.
Airborne.
Thank you. B.
Bazooka.
Barbecue.
Baroness, Beachhead, Bat. C. Easy.
Cobra Soldier.
D.
Duke.
Yeah, Deathstroke. E.
Eels.
Eels.
Yeah.
Come on, tick, 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 tick. Think beret. Beret and a shotgun.
Flint. I thought you were trying to get us to actually get the actual in alphabetical order based on whatever it is. So F, what's the first? Is there somebody FA? So I thinking way too hard there. Sorry.
That would be too much. No, I'm just looking for the first one to get the letter. So any person from the letter. G.
Ghost Rider.
Ooh.
Gung-ho.
I'm not familiar with that one. I don't remember that name.
What's his?
Or Groucho, even the UK variant of Gung Ho. H.
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce. Okay, right. I think as fun as that is, people came to see.
It's kind of fun
to see the arts.
actually. You know what that is?
It's
We should do that live when we're in person. That should be a trivia thing if we're doing Talking Joe live in front of 23 people in a convention room that can fit 500, and everyone else is in the other room buying toys or something, or they're like at some voice actor panel. And Mark's like X, and there's only one.
Same up. And this is my other thing that I bring along to the conventions. It's the trade paperback of the Order of Battle, which I think this edition is somewhat scarce, so it's quite brave of me to be taking it around, it's sort of in a rucksack. And I know that Larry used to have a copy, on his appearances as well. It's a great resource because you've got you've got the full kind of full figure shot, with all of the key details of the outfits and stuff, which
You know what I'm gonna do?
Tim.
I'm gonna bring the Order of Battle collection to conventions and a sketchbook, and I'm just gonna have artists draw dial tone. They're gonna have to make up what his is it dial tone where you only see him from the back? No, who am I thinking of? Who you only see from the back in Order of Battle? There's one Joe who tribute.
Yeah, Breaker.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have a Breaker sketchbook, and every artist is gonna make up. It's like, oh, he's got a button-up shirt and a tie. Like, oh, he's got a tuxedo T-shirt. It's like, he's got like rock and roll's bullet belt, leather jackets.
And we got someone else saying hello. So greetings back to you, Shav. So yeah, I think let's get into it. Let's get into this bad boy. So sketchbook time, and as tradition is here, is try and guess the artist before you are told it. Is I think the game element here. So here we go. The character is Scarlet. Ding, ding, ding. I think that was John in there. That is indeed Brian Shearer. Oops. Saw a preview of the next one. That's Brian Shearer, who drew this at Rollout Roll Call 2016 when he visited over. And I think I just lucked out in terms of him not being too overwhelmed by requests, which meant that he was able to spend a good amount of time sort of finessing the details of this. Yeah, it is interesting to see Brian at work, particularly when he's sort of doing his colours and things. That it's a kind of almost meditative exercise, and seeing the spaces being filled in and layering in the textures with the different gradients of marker and so on.
But not technically colors. These are warm grays and cool grays. This must be Copic markers.
These are yeah.
How do you folks feel about the slightly evolving cushion pad on Scarlett's shoulder from 82 to this?
I like this a lot more than the classified series figure that has that weird star shield thing on her other shoulder.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I
don't know that.
I mean, of course, she also this gear is so I don't know, not useful. I mean, it's a unitard with tights. Let's face it, it's not tactical at all.
Yeah, she's the Princess Leia of 1982 G.I. Joe. I say that as a joke, but she is. She's also a badass. And as a kid, it took me like I think 15 or 20 years before someone told me what the red cushioning on her shoulder strap was. And if she's not holding a rifle, is that a mismatch, that costume design? Because it's supposed to absorb the cushion from recoil, right? It's a place to prop the butt of a rifle up against if she were a sniper or had like a long rifle. So I've always liked it for the color, and I like it as just a bit of texture. The way that I like the insides of of Copperhead's pants, right? It's like the piping. And over the years, this shoulder pad has gotten sort of bigger and smaller. And I think her modern costume in Real American Hero, where she's got sort of normal pants and she's got more of a piece of armor or just like more of a tank top style shirt rather than a unitard. Like, I'll always be happy when I see this, but for like parody, I think it's okay that she's not wearing the unitard these days.
Hmm. Yeah, and this
I think
shoulder
it's
pad is.
balance.
Sorry,
The
Shane.
makeup of the costume. Some people draw it way too exaggerated. It's too out there. Some people draw it super extremely practical, and I think it's a fine line to get the balance right.
You mean just the pad?
But overall, the costume,
Generally.
it's way too superhero sometimes, and then other times it's just super tactical. So
Yeah,
I think this is good. This is a good balance right here.
Yeah, I feel like if her sort of like breastplate is more like armor, it's going too far.
Yeah, a little bit.
It should still be clothing.
Yeah, this version I think is sort of skewing slightly towards the Ninja Force Scarlet, where it was a bit more of a kind of like a samurai kind of pad almost.
Yeah.
We should count the number of times in comics and Zero for animation where she has used one of these throwing stars from her glove. When Mark, when you run out of names for innuendo, this can be like one of your trivia things.
Scarlet throwing stars. She used them early on in the series.
Early on, because
she definitely used them in.
Yeah, she threw it into
Cobra Commander's hand in issue
yeah.
1, right?
Yeah.
That might be the only.
Did
I just come up with the greatest G.I. Joe trivia question? You're welcome.
She also threw them in Frontline, that first arc, as they're coming out of that train sort of cargo bit coming out and magically throwing. Or no, that was crossbolts. She might have thrown something. She might have thrown it in that arc as well. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. This one I'm quite excited about because I think I may own the greatest rendition of this character. This is Zanzibar, but who is the artist?
Is this Yannick Paquette?
No, I can see why we might think that. So certainly of that kind of era and standing. Shall I put you out of your misery?
I have it feels it's not Chris Sprouse. It's not. I give up.
It is.
Oh, it's Dave Johnson.
It's
Dave Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is.
Devil Pig, Dave Johnson.
Did he have a long line at this 2016 con?
He didn't. I mean, the London Film and Comic Con is a slightly strange con. It attracts a lot of people going there to meet like film stars and extras, film stars and people who are in films who aren't necessarily stars but were in a franchise movie, to go and get a photo and get an autograph and stuff like that. And then they have a comic section as well, which sometimes attracts quite significant guests, but most of the people attending the con aren't there for the comic guests. So as a punter, it can be quite a good place to meet someone who's got quite a good stature in the industry without necessarily having such an enormous queue. So I very much went there that con with a couple of people in mind, and I think he was top of the list. And I got to his desk, and I cleared out my entire budget for the day, went back to the cash machine, took out my maximum withdrawal that I could for my day's allowance, and then gave all of that money to him as well. So I think I came away with this sketch, the cover to G.I. Joe issue 1 from IDW, the Chuck Dixon one, and a cover to 100 Bullets as well, which I very generously gave to my brother for his birthday present that year. But
would you say that
I don't know that he's ever done anything to deserve that. Sorry, Tim?
Would you say that Dave Johnson sketches quickly, medium, slowly?
For this, relatively slowly. So I left the left my sketchbook with him for a good chunk of the day, and was coming back periodically just to check that he hadn't forgotten about me entirely. So yeah, I think he spent a decent amount of time on this, and yeah, the choice, I said, was entirely up to him. I said, you know, do you know, are you happy picking a character? And he said, yep. I'll leave it with me. I'll come up with something. And he just thought, yeah, this one was just particularly, wacky and a bit fun to draw. And I think my reaction might have been slightly misleading when I got it back, because I was a bit like surprised by the fact that he'd chosen Zanzibar, which he may have kind of interpreted as me initially maybe not being so enthusiastic about the sketch. But yeah, I think he's a true talent, and someone that we're lucky to have in the comic biz. So yeah, very, very fortunate to have this in my book.
There's something a little unusual about this drawing, and that is the camera is a couple inches higher than Zanzibar. We're looking down at him slightly. Like if he's 6 feet tall, the camera's at 6'3", 6 foot 3 inches, because we can see the top of his shoulders. We can see a little bit of the top of his head. We're not at eye level, and like the cover A for G.I. Joe issue 285, we're not at 2 feet looking straight at the two people kneeling and looking up at Duke. And that's fun, and it feels a little unusual for a convention sketch.
Yeah, and what he's chosen to include, not include the angle. Yeah, it's an all interesting composition, and I don't imagine there's too many G.I. Joe collectors who've got lots of Zanzibars solo pieces in their collection. John, Shane, prove me wrong.
No.
Have you got one?
No.
I do not. And I was very curious if you asked for Zanzibar or if you gave him the choice. So I'm glad you told us that. I think it's a great fit for his style. It definitely works. It's really cool.
Great. Next up, who have we got?
Andrew Wildman.
So it's ding, ding, ding. Quick off the mark with that one. So this is an Andrew Wildman Destro, I guess version 2, you'd call it, in his sort of gold mask suit with the cloak. This was at Nice 2016. So I'd made a good start on my sketchbook this year. Made a fair few dents in the initial pages during 2016. Nice is a really good comic creator centric convention that's held sort of just north of London. Sort of not massive crowds, but the people who do go as punters are very much into meeting creators, getting sketches, collecting art, I think the creators who go I think appreciate having a comic centric events where they're not filled with a massive hall full of plastic models vying or stormtroopers vying for the attention of the punters. So I think I might have left this one entirely up to Andrew to decide as well.
I was going to ask you that because I don't remember his run on Joe was later. Did he draw Destro in this style then? I don't. Was it?
I think this was generally the Destro that he drew. Yeah, okay. Yeah. When because they had that piece where they were in the silent castle and it was transforming and whatnot, and he was there with Baroness and he was sort of generally, I think,
Destro's
in this
Destro's
costume.
in his.
He might have had
isn't he in his?
He might have had a silver mask, but this costume.
Isn't he in his gold mask on Wildman's first cover with the red ninjas upside down?
Baroness I think he is.
And then the cover of 138, where one of the polybagged issues with Baroness and Destro in the castle, He's back to his silver costume, but I feel like that's the that's like the third figure with the spinning disc weapon, where it's basically like sort of version 1 Destro again, but kind of beefed up.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I feel like
Yeah.
artists were like mixing them a little bit.
I think he mostly drew this one, but I think he might have reverted to the Silver Masker at times with the V2 costume. Go on, Tim.
But that would be the colorist. That would be Bob Sharon, or that would be
True.
maybe like a Hasbro, because he wouldn't draw it any differently. What's nice and what's a punter? I mean, what does nice stand for, and what is a punter?
Oh, I think NICE stands for Northants International Comic Expo, and a punter is a civilian, a customer going along to a convention.
Okay, not an attendee, or not a guest, not a VIP.
Exactly.
Not an exhibitor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just one of us plebs going along as a.
It's interesting to see Andrew Wildman's style evolve over time. Some of this is out of necessity, like what the second half of his run of G.I. Joe, he was also drawing another book, and so he drew a lot less, and then he got a different inker who was inking in a really different style. So Wildman under Randy Emberlin looks really different than under Baskerville, but also after Wildman did a couple years of Spider-Man books, like that Venom and Carnage and like that Black Cat thing, then he goes into like game and animation design, and by the time he comes back to comics to do that Transformers miniseries for Dreamwave, I know that's not an accurate representation of a style because of how it was inked and how it was colored, but you look at his like convention sketches, his commissions, his covers, and a little bit of Transformers work he's done more recently, and he has streamlined, and I think that comes from like learning that less is more in animation and video game design. Like if you're storyboarding a video game, you don't have to include all the details because someone else is going to build it.
And interesting as well, conventions, what you'll see is he sort of sells some prints and things where he's sort of playing with different styles. So he kind of has played with this like almost like an engraving or an etching kind of style where there's lots of line work sort of going in to create texture, quite a sort of stylized look to the piece. And I don't know how much he's created in that style, but certainly he's done a couple of prints. I think he did I want to say he did a G.I. Joe versus Transformers print in that style, but I might be misremembering. But there you go.
Again, I like the character choice on this. While Wildman's run on G.I. Joe was really memorable, a lot of the characters were not in recognizable costumes at the time. They were in later variants that were all, to me, kind of generic and blended together a little bit. So this is nice because, I mean, there's no doubt it's Destro, and it's a different look for him, but still very recognizable. So I like that character choice a lot.
Cool. Next up is one that I think is rather special. One, I think definitely up in probably my top 5 favorite sketches that I've got.
It's Ron Wagner, isn't it?
So this isn't Ron Wagner.
Oh.
This is the character is Spirit Iron Knife. So he is a comics creator not associated with G.I. Joe. I chose this character because of his association with Native Americans from another book that he was drawing for Vertigo.
Is this R.M. Guerra who drew Scalped?
Ding, ding, ding. This is RM Guerra, again from Nice 2016. So, yeah, he had a very long run doing almost all of the issues of the Vertigo book Scout, which was largely, based around, Native American reservation. I think I pretty much stayed at his table as this sort of came to life, and unveiled itself. And at times, it was, based on what he was drawing at that moment. It's like I can't even recognize what this is, because he'd be starting on particular textures or particular, blacks, and it's like, and then it all comes together. You sort of, it's got the like a watercolor layer to create the sort of the foliage, casting some shadows on Spirit, and then the finishing touch was he got some paints, probably gouache or acrylic, and just sort of layered it across his headband.
Tell us about the costume, because the shirt feels different. I'm seeing straps down from his shoulders.
Yeah, so I didn't give any direction to him beyond, I think, just sharing the order of battle and probably a printout. I'm just having a look at which illustration I would have had in here. No, I didn't have him. So it would have been order of battle, and potentially maybe even sort of just looking on the phone. But I think that would have been the main reference. You can see that the gun that he's got is very much in line with the toy weapon. So here we go. Let me just share this so you can see that the straps are there on that illustration. And then any other deviations are entirely up to him. So he's sort of added in a bit of a neck, like a choker type piece there, which is. Let me just zoom in on that so you can see that detail a little bit more.
There's such a sense of danger because of the shadow down on his chest, and the curve of the tree, sort of echoed by how Spirit Iron Knife is leaning forward, and his stern, focused expression. This one's wound tightly.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Ping on to the next one. I forgot to have the reveal of the signature, I think. There we go. From very serious to somewhat less so. I don't think that you're going to guess this one.
Is it Dean Haspiel?
This is Dean Beattie, who is a UK artist who sort of has done his own sort of self-published indie books for the most part, and has been someone that we've met at various conventions over a number of years, and have become quite chummy with. And he's just got a very sort of bold, sort of slightly, more than slightly cartooning element to it, exaggeration, and will typically just sort of come up with some quite interesting takes on any given character that is thrown at him. And I also commissioned from him a family portrait. So he drew me, my wife, and the two kids in a this slightly exaggerated style, and that was the picture that actually I use as my Twitter avatar, and the picture has hung on our wall for a number of years.
I really like this, and I know you keep saying it's cartoony, but to me it's just energetic. Like, I'd be curious to see some more of his stuff and see how cartoony it is, but To me, this just has a big energy to it, and
Hmm.
it's a little exaggerated, I guess, but it totally works.
I love the snakes. Just love them. The look reminds me of Dragon's Lair for some odd reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd say do Google his name and seek him out and have a look at his other stuff, because yeah, I'm I just love his style and everything he does. It always brings a smile to my face whenever he will post his most recent piece. Yeah, and yeah, he's published a few different things. I've actually got. I got something from him in the post the other day, which is his most recent project called Tiny Wizards. There, so it's, on the back, so sort of some of the goofiness coming through. So that's yeah, I've not read it yet, but I believe it does what it says on the tin. It's about diminutive wizards. There we go.
So he's definitely using your reference from Order of Battle, because this is the comics costume, not the toy or the animation costume.
Yeah, with the red cloak. Yeah, you're right. There we go.
With the orange pants that aren't covered in scales. And his isn't the toy's torso on the sides also covered in scales?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Gold
sort of head to toe, pretty much. Okay, I'll ping on to the next one. Here we go. This is another one you probably will not guess, so I'll put the name up now. This is Neil McClement's a Viper drawn again at Thought Bubble 2016. We've talked about Thought Bubble quite a lot. It's a great show which attracts some big name artists from the UK and internationally. They'll have some headline international guests coming over, especially for it. But it's also got a very interesting and diverse artist alley, and you're sort of always becoming sort of just discovering new and interesting artists. As a result, and he's one of those people who was sort of producing some quite sort of interesting art, sort of quite. I don't know, I'd say gritty sort of element to it. And I thought, yeah, it would be an interesting to sort of see his sort of take on a Cobra Trooper. I was expecting that there would be quite a sort of a realistic, militaristic kind of take to it. Was what I was expecting when I chose this character for him.
Mark, can you zoom in a little bit more on him? I just want to see some more of the detail.
Sure. Let me do that.
There's a contrast here between what's the artist's name again?
This is Neil McClements.
So McClements has all of these active thin lines, which create the impression of detail. At the same time, he's simplifying and flattening. Like the shoulder pads feel more like they're thin rather than they're thick, and the grenades feel more like they're cut out of paper rather than like rounded cylinders. Mm-hmm, so there's this interesting contrast between what he's drawing and how he's drawing it. And
sure,
I've always wondered, since the Viper figure's head is too big, what it would look like if that head were not a little smaller, but a lot smaller. And now I know. Because this is a smaller helmet and a bigger vest.
I really like your choice again on this, that you had him do somebody geared up with a lot of detail. And I like his art style. To me, he reminds me of like a cartoonist, like from a newspaper or a magazine, just from this sample of his art. But I love seeing him do a G.I. Joe character. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, because I don't know that I'd say that this sketch was necessarily representative, because it's a convention sketch, and it was done probably more quickly than he would take for something that's slightly more professional for published, or that kind of thing. He sort of tends to slightly more I wouldn't say photorealism because it's clearly drawn, but if in the kind of the Tim Bradstreet kind of direction, I think I'd say. Okay, next up. So
is that Roger Langridge?
This is Roger Langridge, who we've seen a couple of pieces from on these shows. Roger Langridge, Snow Job with his Abominable Snowman, which is a Roger Langridge character, and this was again at Thought Bubble 2016. Roger Langridge is one of those artists that I'll always try and seek out and get him to draw something, because invariably it's going to be delightful. And he'd been recently, one of his most recent books was this one about the Abominable Snowman. So I thought it would be a fun idea to have a team up with Snow Job. So that's what I asked for in the book on this occasion. It was Snow Job versus his Abominable Snowman character, and I would definitely not let down in my request. I would say very pleased with that.
I'm a huge Roger Langridge fan too. I don't have a Joe piece, but over on my wall I have Zoot from the Muppet Show playing the flute, which is a piece that I had done for my wife many years ago. But got to be a fan of his after the Thor First Avenger, or Thor whatever that subtitle, the one he did with Somni, and
might have been, was it Mighty Avenger?
I think so. That sounds right. But after that, but yeah, he just a delight. Really enjoyed talking to him over the years. This is tremendous.
Lovely guy, very modest, and just one of these just sort of uncanny talents, I'd say, where he puts pen to paper with barely any kind of rubbing out or sort of prelim type work, and he just will produce something just completely polished. Cool. Shall I move on to the next one?
When's that from?
This is 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going all guns on 2016. Oh, I lost Tim. What did I do? Did I click on you, or what happened there? Was a glitch?
I was checking to see what if I own a Roger Langridge page, or if I own a Ty Templeton page. There was a Howard the Duck story in a Marvel Civil War one shot, which and Ty Templeton wrote it and Langridge drew it. Sure. So I own a Roger Langridge Howard the Duck page. I wanted to get in on that. John saying he's got some. I'm sorry to the audience. I was Googling. Wait, who drew that story? And I clicked the little X by accident. I couldn't remember if Snowjob's action figure painting on the toy packaging, if he was facing right or left, and he's facing right, and so the pose is pretty similar to this. And so when this first flashed up on screen, I thought it's sort of like the rest of the story from Snowjob's toy package. He's like, firing as he's doing this action slalom, but there's also this cartoony snowman in a tie behind him.
I was just thinking about the coloring choices again as well, and I see that he's got the orange skis, which isn't the toy, but is the color of his skis in Order of Battle. So again, that's the reference driving the choices being made, which I wouldn't necessarily have originally put two and two together without. Yeah. Can
you zoom in on the snowman? I want to see the little textures on his jacket and his pants, which Langridge did with like a whiteout pen or something after putting down the base.
Yep.
Is it houndstooth? This is a houndstooth jacket, just because of those that recurring pattern of three little diagonal white lines, and then he's got a little bit of highlighting on the pants. Like that's and then the shadow from under his arm that's reaching forward to the left of the button, like
And
anyone
just
who
a hint of blue on the arc of that, of that
Yeah.
background as well, where the snow meets the sky.
I wish he just drew a regular issue of GI Joe. Like this doesn't need to be like
That would be great.
No, this doesn't need to be like a one-page like Fred Hembeck send up. Who's your Action Force funny guy?
Oh, do you mean Lou Stringer?
It's like the little cartoony guy in Action Force. He like hosts the letters page or something.
Yeah,
It's
Combat Colin is drawn by Louis Stringer.
Okay, thank you. Like we think of Langridge as someone who only cartoons. He's doing like cartoony, stubby proportions, like how the Simpsons don't look like real people. They're like shorter and they've got bigger eyes, but like clearly he knows how to draw anything. He's just like mostly drawing in this cartoony style, but like everything is impeccable. His line, his composition, his poses, his color. Like he can draw the hell out of anything, and we would like pigeonhole him as like as a humor artist because that's mostly what he does, or that's only what he does. But it's like, no, you have to be really good to be able to do this. This is like deceptively simple.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have got Baroness clearly, but Baroness by who?
Is that Shannon?
No, it's not Shannon.
Is that Drew Johnson?
No. Shall I put you out your misery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Ben Oliver.
Oh. Yeah.
In Brighton, my hometown, 2017. And yeah, the sketch itself sort of is skewed quite, let me pull this back, quite low on the page, so it doesn't necessarily fill the whole page. So it's about what, two-thirds of the lower half of the page. And yeah, so Ben Oliver is sort of quite famous. So he's not known for anything in GI Joe, but he sort of does a lot of cover work and other commission work where he does a lot of like headshots or that kind of bust shot where he'll mix media. He'll sort of start with something on the page, scan it, digitally color it, then maybe print that out and then go over it again with some for example pencils and add another layer of media to it sometimes. Let me zoom in a little bit more on this one.
He drew that He-Man Origin special for DC like 6 years ago.
Yeah, he's an artist that is particularly known for sort of cover work more recently, but he has done an astonishing volume of work, but it's sort of just like the odd issue here and there as a fill-in for somebody else, or maybe it's a run on a book that is less well known. So like I think he did a quite long run on Batwing, the Batman family book.
He did an arc or two on Ultimate X-Men, I think when Kirkman was writing it, after everyone stopped paying attention to that book.
Oh yeah.
Like issue 80. And he did he was helping Jay Lee on Superman Batman or Batman Superman.
Oh, right.
When I think they decided that like the first issue was going to be double sized, and like all of a sudden they needed a backup story. And even though these two guys draw quite differently, they both very much put a premium on figure and foreground and not on backgrounds. So in that way, it was a real match.
Mm-hmm.
That's lovely. It's really nice.
It really is.
Yeah, it's people tend to draw Baroness's eyes behind the glasses, and whether this is like they're sunglasses or this is just a little like something's left out so that she sort of gets to be a little hidden, a little anonymous. This is maybe it's like an obvious choice that I think no one ever takes.
Yeah, I've sort of thought to myself before that these are something akin to like aviator glasses or something like that. It's funny actually when he gave it back the sketch back to me, he said something like it probably doesn't look like much, but I did work hard on it. You know, I guess sometimes things can look deceptively simple.
And then you said, I'm really disappointed. I think for this money, you owe me a second sketch. You handed your book back to him.
Yeah, Ben is an artist that I've regretted that I've not got more from, particularly when he was cheaper. But yeah, very, very talented and very nice chap. What's up next? It's Snake Eyes. It was drawn at the Portsmouth 2018 convention. But who is the artist? It's not again, most of these aren't artists that are necessarily associated with G.I. Joe, so that's not going to help you.
I feel like I should know that shading, and I can't place it.
I'll put you out of your misery, I think. This is Irish artist Declan Shelvey, who I've met a number of occasions. Again, absolutely lovely guy, and yeah, someone that sort of will actually go, oh yeah, you know, you're that guy that I know, sort of when we meet, which is a nice thing. And yeah, so most famous for some of his projects like Injection and his work on Deadpool, and I'm forgetting some of his key works, I think, but Thunderbolts.
He helped out on The Return of Wolverine when McNiven
That's
drew
right.
2 issues and Shelvey drew 3 of them. Can I put in a plug for everyone? Declan Shelvey is co-writing a new monthly series for Image. He's drawing the covers, but not the interiors. It's called Time After Time. First 4 issues are out. It's great.
I hear it is good stuff, yeah. And the thing that I was forgetting that I knew that I should mention as well is Moon Knight. So he had a key run on Moon Knight, which probably there's you know some good Moon Knight runs, but I'd say it's kind of the definitive modern Moon Knight run. And this was this is something that yeah, was very quickly done. Really, I was just sort of happened to be by his table and asked if he'd be able to do a sketch, and yeah, we just picked up this book. You know, chose the character. I think, yeah, I said any character from G.I. Joe, and he was happy to do that. And yeah,
Mark,
Shane
I have
he often works in when he's doing convention. He'll have a particular kind of theme or idea in mind, and this one time around he wanted to experiment a little bit with color and watercolors, so that's why some color was being applied to this one. So you know, it would be a case where he's going to be doing color every sketch appearance that he does or convention appearance, but at this particular one he wanted to play. So and hello to Vagon over on YouTube, and he's congratulating us on our plugs that we're making. So
I have to fact check. I got that title wrong. The series is called Time Before Time. It's not Time After Time. I'm sorry. This great Image series co-written by Declan Shelvey is called Time Before Time.
And a great Cyndi Lauper song called Time After Time.
This is one of those artists where you know, I'm sure we all have a list of like 10 or 150 artists who are really good who've never drawn G.I. Joe for Marvel or Devil's Due or IDW, and we think, I sure wish that guy would draw a cover or a story. Every time I see Shelby's interior work, I get that little buzz in the back of my head. It's like, I wonder if this guy's a G.I. Joe fan. It's like, is he about that age? It's like,
unfortunately not. Unfortunately not, Tim. I've had the conversation. He's done a few commissions for people that are available online. I think he did a very cool Storm Shadow, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's not chomping at the bit to do lots of G.I. Joe, unfortunately.
Shane's got one
Shadow from him. I have a digital camo Storm Shadow.
This is probably the thing I'm thinking of.
It was a convention sketch, same thing. I let them pick from a handful of characters. I like this way better.
What? Yours
Shane,
is great.
Shane, is yours Head and Shoulders?
Mine, there's a big focus on background. There's not a lot of focus on
I think what you're saying is that Declan Shalvey is really thinking about the overall composition.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Whereas this one, like Declan Shalvey is like, he's not giving a lot of consideration to the negative space around Snake Eyes' head and shoulders.
I love that he added the color in. I think that really makes it pop a little more. And
it makes it pop, and it sort of makes it more than just a regular headshot. So it's that's good. Let's move on. What's next? Oh,
Gene Ha.
So this is who was that? John, was that you?
Gene Ha.
Yep.
Has to be.
Good job, John.
Has to be.
Bingo.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the ha exclamation mark.
He does so much with fine lines. It's such a joy to see him work with really medium, thick markers here.
Mm-hmm. I think that this is kind of his preferred convention sketch kind of route, is to work with a lot of quite chunky Copic markers and to play with some of the color effects and the tones that you can create with the different gray tones. Quite a talent he's got in terms of using Copics as a medium.
Yeah, I recognize this immediately. I picked up a piece from Gene many years ago. I know he's not much of a Joe fan. He did a bazooka. It's basically a head and shoulders, and you see kind of the cannon coming off his shoulder. But we started talking, and he's like, "Do you ever think he showed up hung over for a fight?" And there's a whole commentary about Bazooka thinking about being hungover from the night before. I really enjoyed visiting with him, and this is beautiful.
I am jealous that I never thought to get Scarlet from him, because that's awesome. Also, I'm curious, did you pay cash for this, or did you have to pay in another manner?
I believe he was taking donations for probably, is it Heroes?
That's what I did. Yeah, I did a Hero Initiative.
So he just, I think he had like a jar or something that I stuck on in there. So yeah. And,
back in the early days, Gene Ha used to like to make people work for the sketches. He wouldn't charge cash, but he would ask you to. He would come up with something zany and have you do that. He came around to a couple of shows in my area years ago, and a buddy of mine wanted a Batman but couldn't be at the show. So Gene Ha's like, all right, well, you're gonna have to do something to earn the sketch. I'm like, the sketch isn't even for me. He's like, it doesn't matter. If you want the sketch, you have to do this task. And the task was, I had to put on a puppet show. So I had no idea how to make this happen. And I asked around, and one of the dealers there said that he had brought a second pair of shoes and socks, and I could use the sock. So I basically made this horrible sock puppet and put on this really lame 2-minute puppet show that Gene was not impressed by at all. But he did the Batman sketch, and I'm sure because I got nothing out of it.
Except the best Gene Ha convention story anyone's ever told.
He's a cool guy. He's a great guy.
Can you, Mark, can you zoom back into the eyes? I just want to point out how lovely like I would call it underpainting here, but it's not paint, it's marker, right? Like the light grays on either side of her eye and then above her eyelashes, right? Which creates the shadow for where, your eyebrow sticks out and then your orbit is recessed. And then, like the actual white part of her eye on the right has that light gray, but the highlight on the left around the blue and the pupil is left white. Gorgeous. And and blobby, because it's like, as you said, like chunky markers. Like this isn't done with I'm holding a micron, right? This isn't done with a micron,
And yeah, I mean, and he's not just drawing with the dark colors as well. He's drawing the lighter gray Copics that he's using isn't just shading; it's drawing as well. So a good chunk of this, the nose is created with light grays, and just the tiniest details, like this little eyelash there, for her left eye, just hinted at just by that one gray line and stuff. He's got this he's a great personality and sort of real positive enthusiasm in about everything as well, which is just great to see and encounter as a convention experience as well. He actually drew did a swap with James, my son, who he said the first encounters, this was probably 2 years before this one, he said, can you draw me something in my sketchbook? And he said, I will, but only if you draw me something too. And so they were both drawing together side by side, James gave him the drawing that he'd done at the end of it, which was a robin, and he was really enthusiastic. He was like, yeah, that's great, thanks so much. Just a lovely encounter. Cool. Zoom out. This next one is again quite interesting, different, out there. It's a big name, but not someone that is associated with G.I. Joe.
Will Portasio.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. There we go. Will Portasio, Dr. Mindbender, MCM, May 2019. So I think it was, he's not someone that's been to the UK very much. So it was the first time I'd encountered him, possibly the first time we'd been in the UK. And again, MCM is quite a strange convention. He didn't. I wasn't first on his list, but he had just enough time to squeeze me in. I said to him, "Yeah, do you like G.I. Joe?" "Yeah, I like G.I. Joe." And I just gave him a choice of what to draw. Gave him the book, and came back, and I think I was surprised to see what he'd drawn. And he said that he just liked the wackier characters, and he also liked the fact that you can see Dr. Mindbender's face, and there's these different interesting facial characteristics with the monocle and the moustache, and a lot of cobras are kind of covered up, so you can't see their facial features. So that's kind of what drew him to draw this one. Dagon has got his fingers crossed for Crazy Legs coming up, but I don't think he might be disappointed. I don't have a Crazy Legs in my collection thus far.
Can you zoom in on the monocle or kind of that area of his face? It's really interesting.
There we go. So you can see the pencil lines still there. So he sort of put down the scaffolding of the piece in pencil, and then he's used like a fine micron or something to fill in some of the detailed work, and a thicker brush for just behind the monocle. And it's kind of almost just like a sweeping brush kind of effect for the hint of the cloak behind him.
Are you gentlemen reading a lower lip under that mustache, or is that a lower set of teeth and his mouth is open a little bit? How do you read this?
Almost like he's chewing on his lip. To me, that's what I see.
Like
I see
this?
this lower lip.
I don't feel like he's chewing on it, but again, that's
Yeah, I see it as lower
Yeah.
teeth and then lower lip underneath that.
Yeah, I read it as teeth here, if you can see my pointer.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where I'm at.
Something that strikes me about this is that his eye is so big and not. I know there are a lot of sketchy lines, but I'm not reading that as a super like wrinkly. Like I don't know how old Dr. Mindbender is. 45. It doesn't even make sense to guess because it's like it's like how old is Batman? 29. It's like, all these characters are like between 20 and 35. But Dr. Mindbender here, if you take away the monocle and the dramatic mustache, he, with this eye, he's youthful and handsome here. He's not, if you think of like sort of the angular face of a lot of villains like Peter Cushing in Star Wars or like Jafar in Aladdin, even though there's a lot of work on the right side of this drawing to separate the front of his forehead from the side and like the cheekbone. This is sort of and yes, clearly he has no hair, but with that eye, this is a youthful and like attractive Dr. Mindbender. This is not like, a diabolically evil, scarred, like Cobra interrogator, Interesting. I don't think of Dr. Mindbender as like handsome or ugly either way, but as a villain who does terrible things and in the cartoon speaks with this like wonderful voice, I don't expect him to be youthful and like attractive.
Okay. Yeah, there's not too much creasing on the forehead. I think most artists would be tempted to go in and
maybe I'm saying
away at a few extra lines.
Maybe I'm saying everything but that. Thank you, Mark.
Cool. Next up, you're either going to get this immediately or never, I think. So this is someone who is a little bit more associated with the brand.
I don't know, but I like it.
Is this Jeff Sr.?
This is Jeff Sr. It's his, I guess, signature character, probably. Death's Head and wall trophies on the background. It's from MCM May 2019, and I'll zoom in on the background. So there's some trophies there on plaques, and can you name the Joes? We've got, I guess, Baroness.
Alpine.
Who's that going to be?
Alpine,
I think.
Scarlet,
Gung Ho.
Is that Destro?
Destro. Yeah,
Flint.
I think that must be Destro. Flint.
Cobra Commander and Snakes.
And up the top, Snake Eyes. So yeah, it was the kind of the thinking behind this. I was thinking, I'm first and foremost a G.I. Joe Action Force fan, but Jeff's work on sort of this character particularly is just so great. He does him so well, and I was going, well, what can I ask him? And then sort of just as in sort of in the queue. Coming up next, my turn to ask a question. I was like, ding, can I ask for a full figure Death's Head, but with this kind of limited background, which is kind of ambitious but accomplishable as a convention sketch. And yeah, he took it and run with it. And mission accomplished. Very pleased with that, just as a UK collector, sort of following Marvel UK at the time. Sort of, Death's Head was one of my favorites.
Mark, I have 3 words for you. How dare you commission a drawing with dead Joes? This makes me a little uncomfortable and hurts my feelings. And it's sort of worse because it's dead Joes and Cobras. Like, I know this is just a single drawing, and it's not even a variant cover. It's not interior page. There's no story. But how dare you, sir?
Puts me a little bit in mind of those like early Marvel what if characters stories where inevitably, no matter what if occurred, it somehow resulted in the entire destruction of the Marvel universe and murder of absolutely every single character that there was, which seemed to be somehow the trend. Maybe that's just an elaborate joke, and they're sticking their heads through the wall, and they're fine, Tim. You don't have to worry.
You know what?
But there's one collector that this is his thing. It's the trophy wall, and I think his centerpiece is a Brian Bolland Joker with the Batman characters on plaques on the wall behind him. Oh dear, they gone. He's just had to take it one step too far. Saw Viper got a lot of them. No.
Wow.
Wow, no, too much. But yeah, it's in keeping with Death's Head as a bounty hunter. That's his shtick. It makes sense for this. G.I. Joe what if, or specifically, really, I think Action Force what if.
How dare you?
Mark, is that Duke between Gunho and Flint?
I think that's Destro. It must be Destro.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, sort of bald, fairly featureless.
I'll turn this around for myself. Sometimes someone at a convention sketch, the artist will add a word balloon and they'll have the character saying something. The word balloon here would be a real American bounty. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I'll just write that on now in marker. Please do. Sacrilege. Okay, what have we got next? Oh, let me have a. Oh, okay, I think this is going to be fastest finger first because this one is fairly obvious.
Zach.
There we go. Was that John?
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, Mike Zek, the master. This was the second time that I met him. The first time I got a quicker kind of remark in the front of a book, and so charged my arm. Second time, towards the busy guy, trying to sell lots of prints, not wanting to take too much time out of the day to do lots and lots of sketching and get overwhelmed then by requests. But quieter end of the day. He said, come back. You might be lucky. And I was. And he then took a little bit more time to produce this great, Snake Eyes piece from, one of the masters.
Neat.
Just rub it in, why don't you?
He keeps escaping. I haven't been able to make it happen.
Yeah, elusive guy. Yeah, I think, sort of the case probably that, if he starts sketching at a show, the floodgates are going to open, everyone's going to want one, and he's not going to have any time to do anything else. And, I think he wants to be able to sign the books, talk to people, sell his prints.
He hadn't done shows in years. And Shane, it was Heroes like 6 or 7 years ago was the first time he had done a show in years. And we were there and he was signing books and he had brought some, I know Shane got a piece, a coloring book page that he had done. And it seems like, he's done more and more, but I have a friend who sweet talked him into doing a similar Snake Eyes piece, explaining that his grandma was the one that bought him the comics. And they had this long conversation about grandma getting him G.I. Joe comics. And then, he got this beautiful little piece comparable to this. And kind of upset that I couldn't figure out. My grandma didn't buy me comic books, so I guess I didn't my story wasn't as good.
That could be
My
the
mom
story.
did.
The story is my grandma didn't buy me comic books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark, this is great.
So-
I'm extremely jealous.
Yeah. It's really nice.
It's nice to have such a prestigious GI Joe name in my book amongst all of the great art from artists less known with the brand as well. So it's good to have that peppered in there, and it does feel like a little bit like a mission accomplished. I felt a little bit greedy because I had said that once before when I got my little remark, but bigger and better, onwards and upwards.
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah.
It's great.
Next up, do we have guesses? It is Scarlet,
Adam Hughes.
and that's a very good guess. We're talking an artist in the same sort of
Terry
genre.
Dodson.
Bing, 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 bing. There we
Oh.
go. Terry Dodson, Scarlet at Thought Bubble 2019, which again was, I think, probably a first appearance in the UK for him, or certainly a rare appearance in the UK for him. So he was doing kind of so I think he had a pre-show sketch list where you paid the premium price for a properly polished finished piece, akin to something that is more more finished. And then he was doing, I want to say, like £20 quick sketches, just so that someone who didn't make his list or couldn't afford those kind of prices could be able to meet him and take away a nice sketch. So that's what I did, was able to sort of queue up, have a request. I can't remember if I said specifically Scarlet. I probably did. It was I might have given him a choice of maybe Baroness or Scarlet. Certainly, Terry Dodson's known for his work on
You really want Terry Dodson to draw Bazooka, or like Zanzibar.
I can see one bazooka.
Roadblock, maybe.
There's a little story here, because she's got a Band-Aid, and there are these three symbols above her head which don't quite correspond to her like cursing or her like feeling pain or grief, sort of in how they're arranged. But there's enough of a relationship here that like, and she's her brow is creased, that she has been in a little fight. And I like how, in keeping with the fast and looseness of this sketch, it's only the like latest impression of Scarlet's costume, like the shoulder pad thing, but on sort of the wrong shoulder, right? But like that's okay. We like, you put like a couple squares or like little octagons anywhere near like a woman in G.I. Joe's shoulder, and everyone will say, "Oh, that must be Scarlet." And it's not quite her like unitard. It's not quite the like modern version of that. It's just like some shirt. But so many convention sketches in the last 10, 15 years have become, these like really gorgeous, finished, labored, like half hour, 2-hour things, that it's really nice to know that anyone will still do. This is like 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, 5 minutes, let's say. Yeah.
Because when I started getting convention sketches, that's what it was. And like very initially they were free. It's like, yeah, I'll draw you something for 2 minutes. And then it was like, okay, well, 10 or 20, $25 for 30-second to 3-minute sketch. And since so much of the stuff you've shown us and we've seen in similar episodes are these bigger, fancier pieces, it's like, this is like 80% Scarlet and 20% and 20% like sketchbook, comic book woman.
Yeah, and I think you say you don't know necessarily going into these things whether someone's going to be a fan of G.I. Joe or not, but fairly inevitably, if they're American of a certain age, there's no way that they've escaped the cartoon, the toys, the comic to some degree. So a lot of particularly American artists have got a real affection for the property. And Terry said that he was very much a fan of G.I. Joe in his youth, and I asked if the plaster on her cheek was like a tribute to issue 21, and he said it was, and that kind of thing. So fan enough to know that.
I take that back. This is not 80% Scarlet and 20% sketch. This is 100% Scarlet. I apologize. I apologize to Mark and to Mr. Dodson.
I wondered when I saw the Band-Aid if he was a fan and that's where it came from. That's cool.
And I like the boldness of just using the Copic grays on the nose, just to add that in as well. Okay, I think we are now coming into the final straight. We've got one more piece in my sketchbook, which is the last one in there before we move on to the most recent piece, which is that one, the blank page. That is what's been used, and that's what's left to go. So there's still lots of empty space in my book, and funnily enough, not too many conventions that I've been to since March 2020. So this last one that we talk about was Thought Bubble 2019, which was the last convention that I went to in person. And this next one coming up is an at-home commission. So here we go.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I don't remember the guy's name, but it's phenomenal. I was really jealous when you showed this. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is Ian Kennedy, who is a UK comic art legend, so most famous for his work on the likes of Commando and Warlord and these kind of things. So sort of the British boys comics. And he's now in his late 80s. So he's a real industry legend who sort of only in recent years has kind of become aware really of this fan base of people and conventions and things like that, of people who grew up with his looking at his work and so on. And
this was done, I'm sorry, this was done by somebody in their 80s?
Yes.
Can you zoom in?
Stunning.
I certainly can.
I want to see Wild Weasel in these 5 brush strokes.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. Put it full screen.
And gorgeous.
Look at all the reflected light. There's all this
Yeah.
red. There's all this red in the shadows of the Rattler, like under the gun pod, under the the white. Can you move your cursor over under the 5 characters further? Right there. There's all this red reflected light.
Yeah, right there
in the blue, and then on the other side of the turbine.
Yeah, on here.
Yeah.
And in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a real master of color. He he's able to do this at the the quality that he does at the age he does, but also incredibly quickly for what it is. And he's got a real eye for color, but also an eye for kind of print, thinking in terms of how you would produce something and then how that would be reproduced and potentially reduced in size. So you can get away with drawing things in a certain way, at the scale. But when they're reduced, they just look so much more polished, and some of the some of the I guess blobbiness is not the word that I want to use, but the word that I've got in my mind.
I think I think the fancy word is the painterly quality of the mark making.
Yeah, sure.
This is in your G.I. Joe sketchbook?
Some interesting things in this style. This is in my sketchbook. Let me come back to.
And was this more expensive than other sketchbook sketches? Because it's painted.
Yeah. So this would be the most in terms of the cost versus any of the others. It's so by a fairly long margin. The next closest one would be Dave Johnson, but that's still even that is a fair distance away.
This is not a sketch. I mean, let's face it. What we've seen otherwise, obviously everything is tremendous. This is just a work of beauty, and I mean, this could be package art, for crying out loud. This is absolutely stunning.
Yeah. This is a commission.
Yeah, it is. Oh, so jealous, Mark. I remember when you first posted this, I was stunned. Oh, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, and what I've not said out loud here, I've said it in passing before, is that I basically act as Ian's art rep, essentially. So he does the hard work, but I do the admin on his email inbox, basically. so I help him line up his commissions, sort of do the donkey work of figuring out what people actually want, so that he can concentrate on the painting. So sort of help him with the admin side of that, so that he can focus on the bit that he wants to do, which is the painting side. So I started doing that guess late summer 2019, so in the run up to Thought Bubble, and I was sat with him at Thought Bubble 2019, which is why I probably had fewer pieces done that year than I would normally have done.
This is the artist, if that Battle Action Force Kickstarter book reached a certain tier, he was going to do a new cover.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Wow.
And yeah, I think I've shared before another commission that I've had from him. I shared it on the Action Force Kickstarter YouTube live stream that we did. But I think I'll do something on another show again to share it once more, because it's certainly worth it. But if here's the advertising plug bit. But yeah, if anybody does want to commission something from Ian, his list is open. IanKennedyArt.co.uk.
All right. So although this is a vehicle, he also drew and draws figures, people.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So his kind of background and speciality is in sort of painted art, but he works in charcoal, pencil, inks, and this sort of painted acrylics style. So he still regularly produces painted covers for Commando, which is essentially like a war comic. That's one of the things he's most known for. He also did a big run on Dan Dare in the pages of New Eagle. Again, it's a British comic, and his work graced a lot of annuals. So it was a bit of a British tradition, is that you'd have your weekly comic book coming out and you'd collect it, and then there'll be an annual produced, and that was extra special because it was a hardcover, and you'd get it wrapped and put it in your stocking for Christmas and stuffing. So it's a bit of a British institution, and so a lot of the British Boys Comics annuals sort of has big splashy paintings from Ian Kennedy on the front. And yeah, so he one of his specialities is in aviation art. He just loves planes. Would have loved to have been a pilot. So very, very much an interest area of him to have in drawing planes. So that's why I chose this particular subject for him. But he also does like sci-fi, like Dan Dare, so sort of spaceships, moon bases, all of that kind of thing. Vehicles, so he's done great. They call it the Killdozer from Judge Dredd, which is like this bit like Rolling Thunder type vehicle from G.I. Joe. He's done a Rhino from Mask fairly recently. He's just produced a nice Action Force commission for somebody that hasn't been shared yet, so I won't spoil that just yet, but that will be shared eventually. And that one was a nice sort of, I think, A3 black and white piece. Yes, and then also the figure work. So a lot of the work that he does is like full figure kind of portrait, like sort of hero pose, like a painted version of what you might see in Order of Battle. But yeah, it's all there. Examples are all up there on the social medias and things. So very easy to get an idea of the kind of thing that he's done. And then anytime anyone asks for something in that G.I. Joe Action Force kind of theme, I'm delighted because I get to see it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very impressive.
Thank you. So that is that's my sketchbook, and just looking forward to at some point getting back out to a convention. And
Mark, who's on your list of people that you either Joe specific creators or people that are associated with the property or people in general, somebody that you really are looking forward to getting in your book?
Ooh, in my book specifically, that's a tough one. I think it'd be at the show. It would typically be at the show. Do I like them, and would I think they'd be applicable to G.I. Joe? Tick tick. Someone that I was keen to get something from, but it's not panned out, has been a British artist called Dylan Teague, who does sort of very precise style, but with a lot of often he does a lot of interesting things in color as well, sort of like with Copics and pencils and things when he's doing his sketch. So I've got a particular idea in mind for him to pan out, which will hopefully pan out one day, but you never know. Yeah, if you gave me a bit of time, I'd be able to give you a list as long as you're on. But
Fair enough.
On the spot at the moment. What about you guys? What do you think? Do you have like an ultimate wish list person to get something from in your own sketchbooks that you've not had yet?
Yeah, for me, it's Michael Golden and Dave Johnson. Those are probably the top two for me. That it's funny when you showed your Johnson piece, and I know Shane's got at least a couple. You got a couple pieces from Dave now, don't you? Shane, you got the Televiper. I have a really weird Dave Johnson piece that a friend of mine got me, and it's a cover to an alternative music magazine from the late 90s of the band Ben Folds 5. And he had it my friend got it for me probably 5 years ago, was at Emerald City Con, and it was in his binder. And he's like, wait, this is Ben Folds 5. And he's like, yeah, it's something I did 20 years ago for this magazine. And so I have the penciled cover to this off the wall alternative music magazine. And it's funny because there's a British contingent of Ben Folds fans that are very upset that I have that cover. But I'm like, I can't believe I'm and I've been a fan of Dave's for a long time, and I have this off the wall thing that he did years and years and years ago. But yeah, I would say for me, it's Golden and Dave Johnson are right at the top of the list.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I thought to myself, yeah, of course, Michael Golden. That would be one of the ultimate additions to my sketchbook for sure. Are you thinking, Tim?
I've had a Mike Vosberg commission in mind for 5 years, and I just never get around to it because it was like when I've done commissions, between like email and scanning and getting reference, it ends up being like 2 afternoons of work, which is not a lot, considering it's money and it's going to take someone 2 months or 3 months. But I just I never prioritize that. So Jeff Isherwood, because the 2 issues of G.I. Joe that he drew.
I think he's someone that still does like
he is available. I'm on Renee Witterstatter, his agent. I'm on her mailing list. So like I got the most recent, not that recently, but I have gotten emails from her saying like these 6 artists are available. I have a particular kind of commission that I have gone after 4 times, which is a large one in black and white, which represents an artist's sort of total run on G.I. Joe. So I have a Rod Wiggum from 10 years ago, which takes elements from like some issues in the 30s, and then also a little bit from 116, 117, 118. It's like, okay, if I could get Rod Wiggum to draw one thing that's big, that has multiple characters, how could it sort of represent? After Herb Trimpe died, I posted the one that I had him do like 15 years ago, which is like, okay, Trimpe, draw the original 13. But I need like a little hint of Cobra, even if we don't see them. And I need a vehicle. And then I need like these 2 weapons or accessories. And then I also like this one accessory from 1984, even though that wasn't there. Can you sort of incorporate that? So it's like, if I get one thing to cover everything. And since Jeff Isherwood only drew 2 issues, that would be simpler. And then Vosberg, it's pretty streamlined. Shane?
I just got Mike Vosberg to do a couple pieces in the last year or 2. And that was like, he was someone I thought it was going to be difficult. I don't know why, just in my mind, I had that it was going to be complicated, and it was extremely simple and fast. And
they're beautiful pieces too.
I mean, honestly, pleasurable.
Really well
the experience, it was just Facebook Messenger, but just the interaction, it was very pleasant and very nice. Mike Zach, as we mentioned, Jeff Isherwood is on my short list as someone who should be attainable and did G.I. Joe. I've reached out to him a couple times this past year, and the timing just has not worked out. I am on a list for Dave Dorman right now. So I am I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about that.
Would that be
somebody
painted?
Painted?
Yeah.
No, just a pencil sketch. But I don't know. Even though I've always associated him with G.I. Joe, I never thought about getting a G.I. Joe piece from him. And then the opportunity came up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So I lined something up there.
One of the things that diminishes my urge for commissions is if I have published art or like development art by that person. Like I have a Zek remark in that sketchbook that he self-published like 15 years ago. Like if you ordered it from him directly, he would draw a Snake Eyes head or a Punisher head in the like on the first page. So I have that, but I also have a Zek cover. So I don't, this isn't like a white whale for me, even though something new and, more custom would be wonderful. Like that itch is scratched for several artists.
I do have I have a Captain America head sketch from Zach that I got through his website a couple of years ago, which is really cool. But yeah, I'd like to have a G.I. Joe piece. And I've tried. There's been times where he was at conventions and I didn't have the ability to do it. There's times where I've reached out to him and he said, now's not a good time. Reach out to me later. And it's just, it never really lines up. So I don't know. We'll see. Potentially I'll see him later at a convention. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Have you got your next convention appearance, attendance, I guess, in mind now? How are things lining up for that?
We have Cincinnati Comic Expo is coming up here in a few weeks, 2 weeks. They've said that everyone in the building is required to wear masks. I guess my fingers are just crossed that it actually happens. It'll be weird to be there wearing masks. I mean, nobody wants to wear masks. I understand that. It's not that big of a imposition to put on a mask, but it'd just be weird to be masked up the entire time at a convention. It's so hard to have a conversation in those halls half the time anyway. Now everyone's going to be a little muffled, but yeah, we'll see if it happens. I'm hoping. It's a bigger convention, and I think the bigger conventions are the ones that are having trouble staying in existence. The smaller ones can get by, so I'm hoping it happens. We'll see. Jim Shooter's going to be there also.
Attending? Is Jim Shooter?
Jim Shooter, Mike Zeck, and Michael Goldnow will be there.
Am I thinking right that Jim Shooter does draw? He does sketch on occasion?
He has. Yeah, I've seen Jim Shooter sketches, yes.
He has drawn G.I. Joe as a sketch?
I don't believe so. I don't think so. I don't know. He signed some G.I. Joe stuff for me.
You could be the first person to ask him for a Shooter commission sketch.
Well, I might
it's
have
just
to
a
do that.
shadow.
Well, no, I mean, she exists as a character now, so there's a design.
Well,
he didn't know that. He
knows that.
Exactly.
Shane, you would bring reference. Also, if this happens, please take a photo as it's happening. Because like
All of
that's
this is possible.
you know the photo Starbuck and Starbuck and a Starbucks.
Okay. See what I can do.
Bring the figure and bring page whatever of issue 1 or a reprint, it's fine, and have those next to him, and he can be like, while he's drawing, and you're like, with the hey.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Excellent.
It could happen.
I am exhibiting at a convention in 7 days.
Oh wow!
Actually, my store, we've reopened. We're open.
Because I did your song, Tim.
It's okay. It's okay. I realized I've been talking about the renovation and being temporarily closed for so long, that the weekly video updates that I do, we opened 2 or 3 weeks ago, but there hasn't actually been an ad where I'm just like screaming, "We're open, we're open, we're open." That message has been sort of embedded in the ads that are about other things, and so I have some family in California, and they're like, "Is the store open? When's the store open?" It's like, "Oh, we've been open for 14 days." I guess if you're not checking at the website, anyway. So we do 2 conventions a year. We exhibit at 2 conventions a year. One is called Ladies Con, which is in Somerville, Massachusetts, where my store is. And it's put on by another store, the Other Comic Book Store in Somerville, Massachusetts. And I think this is the 6th year. And the idea when it started was to have a show where most of the guests are, the creator guests are women, and the people who are selling are going to have a focus on women characters and women creators. And I think sort of even with like the second year, that sort of expanded to be a broader range of gender identity. It's at a small VFW, really near where I live. So load-in will be pretty straightforward. Yeah, there we go. So I think I'm working the show all by myself. So I don't think I will take a sketchbook to anyone. But the three guests who I know are like friends of mine. So I could, if I needed to, I could get a sketch from them. I just go to their house.
Who's that then? Tell us. You don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to.
There are some local artists on the guest page who I am friends with.
Okay, and
we could
and
just
that is a good time to say, if you're in the Somerville area, head on down to Hub Comics. Hubcomics.com is the place to find out all of the details.
I'm not there right now because I'm doing a live stream about some G.I. Joe art.
It's a shocking dereliction of duties, Tim.
It was a long day yesterday, so a good long day. So I was sort of taking the day off.
So how's the convention
Cool.
looking? Any issues or concerns, or everything seems fine?
Somerville's vaccination rate is high. It's a city ordinance as of, I think, this past Tuesday, that everyone has to be masked inside a building. And the friendly competition who runs this show, they'll keep an eye on capacity and it won't be too crowded. So I'm not concerned. I think it'll be okay.
That's good.
Okay, cool. Let's, I think, wrap it up. It's been good sharing my sketchbook and good chatting to you guys. So, Tim, where can people find you other than hubcomics.com?
They can find me at Hub Comics some days of the week. Find me at arealamericanbook.com. I know I haven't posted in a while. I will post soon, I promise.
Excellent. And John, have you got anything to plug, or where would people find you?
Day jobs kind of stuff. You can find me at johnthurmond.com if you want to hear me or see me talking about Joe and sharing toy finds and those kind of things, at John_Thurmond on Twitter.
Excellent. And Shane, is the best thing to do is type into a search bar Shane Simek, comic art fans?
Comic art fans, my group of friends has a Facebook page, Crayon Boys, on Facebook. It's mostly random comic book stuff. There's not anything of note. If something gets posted on our blog, which has been a while, we link to it there. But otherwise, comic art fans, that's where all the cool stuff's at.
Excellent. And so I'm too embarrassed to do our new sing-song jingle, so I'll just say, when all is said and done...
Wait. Do our new sing-song jingle. Do ours, please.
But you do the singing.
I know.
Oh dear. So what do? I say something like, and I think that's pretty much all us done. But remember,
I forget. What's the line?
You say nobody beats Talking Joe.
Right. Like the 1988 jingle. Nobody beats Talking Joe, a real American podcast.
That's it. Laters.